Hello and welcome to TCTV's Mission Nonprofit. I'm your host, Robert Kam. On Mission Nonprofit, we feature a local nonprofit organization from the Thurston County area, and there's a new nonprofit each month. It airs on Thursday nights at 7:30 p.m. and Sundays at 4:30 p.m. only on TCTV 22. This month, we have NAMI of Thurston and Mason County, and NAMI stands for the National Alliance on the Mentally Ill. With me today is Dawn Crawford and Traci Mellor. Did I say it right this time?
You got it perfect.
I did it right this time, okay. So they're here with NAMI of Thurston and Mason County. And are you the executive director? What is your
No, I'm on the board of directors.
You're on the board of directors, okay.
I'm also the coordinator for the In Our Own Voice program,
Okay.
which is where you have two mental health consumers go out in the community and talk about their experience and recovery. And yeah, I just help out in that capacity.
So Traci, could you give us a little bit of background about how NAMI started out and,
Sure.
and how the local chapter started out?
Well, on a national level, NAMI started out about 1979, and it was founded around a kitchen table. A bunch of family members that had somebody suffering from schizophrenia, and it was a very grassroots organization. It was just founded from that, gained momentum throughout the nation. Here, NAMI Thurston Mason has been going since about 1989.
Okay, and you guys do some programs. You have outreach. You have groups, support groups.
Right.
And Dawn, what is your involvement with NAMI?
Well, I was on the board of directors, but I moved, and so I had to change from doing that. But that was an honor to serve while I did. I was very involved in advocating the legislator, and we have a legislator day, and we have groups that go to our different specific districts, and I did a lot of that and talked to a lot of the legislature about NAMI issues, and that was a very important time in giving information to them. I've served in a lot of capacities. I served in and was trained in Connections. Connections is a group therapy. It's not a therapy group in the sense that you have a doctor there or a therapist, but it's a support group. And that's a good thing. They have boundaries, and so they can come in with peers and they can be able to talk, share about their experiences, and to be helped and be encouraged to know that there are other people just like them.
So these support groups, do they meet regularly, and do they cost money?
They do not cost money, free of charge, and we provide all the posters, everything. We have somebody that's in charge. We monitor the time, and so everybody has a chance to speak, and everybody has to stand in the here and now. We don't want to talk about what's happened back then. We want to talk about what's happening in their life right now and how it affects them in their life. We have people that have schizophrenia, bipolar, those that have depression, PTSD. Some people have compound effects of a lot of those different mental illnesses. But that is a great group to come to because you can talk with other people, you can feel accepted, and you can be able to air your feelings and yet do it in a structured environment.
And so for the people out there watching that are suffering with a mental illness of some kind, they could go to your website, which is namitm.org, and then they can find out when and where that these support groups meet.
Absolutely. They can go to the state. After they go to the national and go to the state, and then they can go down to the county, and then they'll have listing of the different groups.
And the contact information for your group, for the Thurston Mason County chapter, is it called a chapter?
Affiliate is
An affiliate.
the title.
The website is namitm.org. The phone number is 493-6021. Some
Right.
people might not have internet access, so they can call that number, and we'll put it down on the screen. So again, it's 493-6021. So there's
Okay.
that for them. And Traci, go ahead and tell us more about the In Our Own Voice program. How long has that been going on? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Right, it's been going on in the national level quite a while, and technically it's an educational tool of NAMI. Like I kind of referred to earlier, it's to mental health consumers, can be anybody. They have to go through a training process. But basically they speak on their own experiences with mental illness. It's a formatted presentation. We go through dark days, acceptance of the illness, treatment, how we coped with it, and then for the future, our successes, hopes, and dreams. And we go out free to anybody that wants it. Whether it's businesses, faith organizations, what have you, schools, anybody that requests it, we'll go out to them. And it's just a very powerful tool for just sharing recovery and hope, and giving family members hope, giving other consumers hope, just being that voice where maybe there isn't one.
And is this a program that you and Dawn always do together?
Yes, we're paired off together, and we go out and do that, yeah.
Are there other people that do the same thing? Or?
No, it's relatively new in Thurston Mason. We've been doing it since October of last year. So it's steadily gaining steam. The more people hear about it, we're getting more requests to go out and do presentations. So.
Okay. So yeah, and you actually have done one on television.
Yes,
recently.
That's right.
Here at TCTV,
Yes.
and we're going to show a clip of that later on in
Okay.
the show, and I thought it was very inspiring. I think it could help out a lot of people out there. So,
Well, thank you for letting us come and do that.
Yes,
It's an honor.
awesome.
you guys did a great job with that program. But for those of you watching, if you do want to catch the program I just mentioned, you can tune in to TCTV on Thursday, September 2nd at 5:30 p.m., Saturday, September 4th at 8 p.m., Monday, September 6th at 8:30 p.m., Friday, September 10th at 10:30 a.m., Tuesday, September 14th at 6 p.m., Saturday, September 18th at 12 p.m., Monday, September 20th at 8:30 p.m., or Thursday, September 23rd at 2:30 p.m. to watch that show in its entirety on TCTV Channel 22. Now that we've teased them a little bit, why don't we just go ahead and show it to them
Okay.
right now and let them see what
would-
we're talking about, and then we'll come
Absolutely.
back and talk more about what NAMI's doing in Thurston and Mason
Okay.
County. Okay, we'll be right back.
I struggled for 10 years before I finally collapsed after losing 5 jobs in a row. And those were my dark days till I ended up self-committing myself into a psychiatric hospital. And there's where I began to understand what I was dealing with. I was given a diagnosis and then begin to work on the progress. You know, having a mental illness is not linear. It's a process. And there's where I began to learn the process. And since that time, and I was in Providence, St. Pete's Hospital, I began to learn, listen from others, listen to those that taught me. And that was the beginning of my journey, going from dark days into understanding what was wrong with me. And I was given a diagnosis of a bipolar 1 disorder. It's a very serious disorder. And before, many doctors just gave me depressants. Well, all depressants do is make you go up. When you go up, I was already hyper, so I didn't need that. So when I finally went into the psych hospital, I began to realize, and as I talked to the doctors and the nurses there, they began to give me medication to try to make me even. And that was just the beginning of my understanding of what was going inside me. Now, that's the beginning and the ending of my dark days into when I began to move into another phase of my dealing with my mental illness. Traci?
Yeah, I also live with bipolar 1 disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorder, and social phobia, so I've got a lot on my plate. When I talk to somebody about my bipolar disorder and they ask me what mania is like, I liken it to being on the freeway and the accelerator's stuck. And you can see it happening, but there's nothing that you can do about it. And that's a lot like what mania is like. The first time something happened to me, I was 20 years old. I had just transferred to UC Davis, And I just thought I was excited about being away from home for the first time. But then I started speaking so rapidly people couldn't understand me. I didn't need to sleep that much anymore. I just started being really belligerent. And it came to the point where people basically gave me an ultimatum. They said, either go get help at the Student Health Center or you're gone, you're out of here. And I had worked very, very hard to get into UC Davis, so I reluctantly agreed to see the psychiatrist. And I went into his office. He pulled down a book of symptoms, read them to me, said, are you having these, yes or no? That was it. Diagnosed me bipolar, out the door. I had side effects from the medication. It didn't work out very well for me. I tried to communicate that to him. He didn't seem to listen, or he didn't care, I don't know which. And 3 months later, I threw my medication in the trash. I didn't think anything was wrong with me. Fast forward 6 years later, when I was 26, I began to get manic. I thought I was a prophet. I thought the last days were upon us. I saw and heard things that weren't there. I started giving my things away. I started spending money like I had it. I wandered up and down the streets of San Francisco, started scaring people in the Haight-Ashbury, so you know it had to be pretty bad. And how that came to a head was I got arrested at the airport in San Francisco for making a shrine to John Lennon, because in my head, that seemed to be the right thing to do. Now, in most psychiatric hospitals, you have 2 to a room. I was so bad, I was to my own room for 2 weeks. I was held there against my will. And I was put on so much antipsychotic medication that my eyes were rolling back in my head. I was drooling. I couldn't get out of my bed. I was a mess. And when it was over, I lost friends I thought I had. I had to file bankruptcy because I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt. I almost lost my job. I lost my apartment. And I had to stay with my parents because I was so incapacitated. And the last really bad episode was when I was 33. I was going through a divorce. I lost my job. And it started with a depression that was so bad, I couldn't get out of bed. Literally, I couldn't get out of bed. I almost successfully committed suicide, checked into a hospital in California. They didn't really do me any favors. I checked in very depressed. I checked out manic. Went to Oregon where my parents were living at the time, got some more treatment, and it took a long time. They didn't think I'd come out of it, but I got some really good medical care up there and was able to recuperate, but it did take a long time.
Welcome back to Mission Nonprofit. If you're just joining us, our guest this month is NAMI of Thurston and Mason County, and with me today is Don Crawford and Traci Mellor. And they're talking about the Thurston and Mason County affiliate of NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, right? Did I get it right this time?
Yes.
Okay. So we just saw your production in our own voice that is airing on TCTV. So I saw some familiar faces in that show.
Yes, you did. We were there.
That's right. And you guys do that program from time to time out in the community for businesses or organizations.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity as well to get a lot of audience involvement because there are usually a lot of questions toward the end. We also supplement the program with a short DVD from NAMI. So that brings a bit more life to it. But what you see in this taping is the bare bones essential part of what we talk about. So.
And NAMI offers support for people that are suffering from mental illness with peer-to-peer training and that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program, Don?
Well, it's an educational program, and it also deals with understanding the psychological and the psychiatric part of what's going on. Also, it informs you on the different mental illnesses. So you not only just understand about your own, you understand about the gamut. And it teaches you that, teaches you about the emotions. There's an emotional therapy that one particular psychiatrist used, and we were learning that, and I cannot remember what it was. but also they help you prepare advanced directive, so that a person who is mentally ill, if they're in a hospital, almost incapacitated, there is a legal document what they want done with themselves. And it's something that's very important for people that are mentally ill to be able to have an advanced directive.
And that's called the Advanced Directive. Let's start at the beginning of this peer-to-peer program that NAMI offers. And what would people do if they were going to enroll into this program? Let's say they were watching this show and they went to your website, which is namitm.org, and they found how to get involved with the peer-to-peer program. Take us through kind of what happens from there.
Well, actually, you're appointed or you're asked. They have one or two of the board members interview you, and they think you could be a good candidate for that because they know where you are in your progress. And so it's something that you sit down, and then they recommend you, and then they have two peers that actually teach the class. And so, but you have to be go through an interview, and then you have the opportunity to go into it. It isn't just something you just walk into.
And this is a 9-week program.
It is a 9-week program.
Is it something they meet once a week?
Once a week for 9 weeks.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it like an hour session? Or
It's like about 2 hours.
2-hour sessions.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate goal is that advanced directive.
Right, and also to understand what all the mental illnesses are, and to be able to understand other people who have mental illness. It's a knowledge-based, intensive time in understanding a psychological approach that deals with emotions, and then so that you can understand what's going on in your feelings, and you can be in the here and now. But then advanced directive is a very important part that they spend about the last 3 weeks on.
And that's to make sure that your life is in order, and you were saying if you die, you make sure that you have a will and all that.
Right.
Yeah, advanced directive. I actually have an advanced directive as well, and it's just kind of, this is what I want in case of emergency.
There you go.
This is what I
Case of
don't want.
emergencies.
I want these people to come and see me at the hospital. I don't want this treatment under any circumstances. It spells it out,
Right.
To a really high degree what you want and what you don't want, so that, God forbid, if you get to that point, you have that document talking for you.
So it's a document.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Now, are family members involved with this advanced directive process?
Mine is. I
It just depends on what you want.
Yeah,
They
it
make
can
sure
be
that-
what you want it to be.
Okay.
But, whether it's friends, significant other, whatever it is,
Right.
you make it, you create it to be what you want it to be.
And when we talk about family members, it's very important to make sure that they have help coping with a loved one's
Right.
mental illness and problems. So, what does NAMI do for family members of people who are suffering with mental
Well, they have
illness?
what's called as a family-to-family training, and they go through a 12-week educational program that teaches people that have family members to understand what their family member is going through, and also about different mental illnesses, understanding the brain chemistry. It's really intense. And by the time they get out of there, they probably have more training than people who are psychologists and therapists. And they have a notebook that's that thick,
Wow.
and they have it for reference. And they are so impressed that the majority of the donors for NAMI and our affiliate come from the family to family. Also, they get together in a restaurant every so often, and they meet and have coffee.
Oh.
Right, so it's something where there's a bonding that goes on too, and that they can develop those relationships and support one another as they're dealing with someone with mental illness.
So there's a 12-week program, again, probably the same once a week. Do they have a 2-hour session?
Once a week, it's about 2 hours.
But then they have a handbook that's this thick.
Oh yeah, a lot of handouts and a lot of reading and a few breaks and maybe something to drink and something to eat, and then they take a break and they go back in.
And this is a free program for,
Yes.
for family members.
Yes, it is.
So if somebody who has a loved one that is suffering from mental illness wants to take this, they want to go to your website, which is, again, NAMITM.org, or they can call 493-6021, and they want to sign up for the family-to-family support. Is it called a support group?
Which is family to family.
Just called, they'll
Family
see
to
it on the
family
web,
training.
family-to-family training.
I know my wife, when I got out of the ER, well, when I was in the ER ward at St. Pete's, she learned about it, and she was going the next week. And so she took that, and I even read the book, and I even learned a lot of things about mental illness. It's a wonderful class. People bond, and they understand and get a lot of knowledge. And I think it's a great thing for family members. It opens their eyes, and then they share with some of their other relatives, and creates a great educational opportunity for them to share with others.
Yeah, but it's all free.
It is free.
It's all
So
free.
somehow, somebody's got to be supporting NAMI. Somehow, there's got to be, we've got to pay these trainers who are providing all these free
They
services.
do it free of service.
They do it free.
Right.
The psychologist, is it psychologists?
No, they're just people who have been trained.
There are people who have already been through the program.
Well, they've been through the program, but they were more interested, and then they become trained to be the trainers.
I see. Okay.
And
people
every
can also do
program in NAMI is that you're trained to be a trainer.
that. I see.
And so, but like I said, when people go through that 12-week program, there's a little sales pitch and encouraging, and a lot of the donors are family-to-family members. So what they might say is free, it's like you've got them hooked. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but in a way that they see, wow, this is something that I want to support because it's helping me and it's going to help my family member.
Yeah, and it's going to help the community.
It's going to help the community, that's correct.
So people that give you donations, how do they go about do that? If people are just watching this program and they want to donate to NAMI, is there a place on the web, or do they just want to call that phone number?
Yeah, there's a place on the web. They can go from the national to the state to the local affiliate, and they'll give you information there, as well as calling the phone number.
Yeah, or call the phone number as
Right.
well.
The phone number, again,
Right,
is 493-6021.
that's right.
And so NAMI is funded by donations
Right.
from people who
Right.
are, have a reason to give to NAMI. And also from grants, some grants. Could you tell us, Tracy, about some of the grants?
Yeah, one of the major grants that Thurston Mason gets is from the RSN, the Regional Support Network, I think is what that stands
That's
for.
correct.
But like I say, individual donations, but mostly RSN money. Is there anything else I'm missing out on? I'm trying to think.
Well, sometimes they'll have pharmaceutical companies. Like In Our Own Voice is sponsored by Eli Lilly.
Right.
And so we have a questionnaire that we put out, and we ask them to give that back, and we submit it to the NAMI and the pharmaceutical company, which is Eli Lilly, and then they get feedback. How is this affecting the people that we speak to, and how important is it? How are people educated and impacted in their own lives? So we do get that feedback.
And then you were also saying something about memberships. People can become a member of NAMI.
Yes, they can.
Right. They can become a member on a consumer level. I think there's an open door membership which starts at $4 if there's financial hardship. I think individual membership starts at about $35 or so.
Right.
But then you're in the loop. You get to be apprised of everything that's happening at the affiliate. It's just real valuable, I think.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming in to be a guest on Mission Nonprofit, and I want to thank you for putting a wonderful new program on air on TCTV. And I wanted to, again, mention the air times of that program, the In Our Own Voice program. It comes on Thursday, September 2nd at 5:30 p.m., Saturday the 4th at 8 p.m., Monday the 6th at 8:30 p.m., Friday the 10th at 10:30 a.m., Tuesday, September 14th at 6 p.m., Saturday the 18th at 12 p.m., Monday, September 20th at 8:30 p.m., and Thursday, September 23rd at 2:30 p.m. That is all the time that we have for this month's Mission Nonprofit. I'll see you next month. I'm Robert Kam. Thanks for watching. If you know of a local nonprofit organization that's making a difference in our area, give us a call at 956-3100 extension 103 or send an email to rkam@tctv.net.